Did we bore you?
No. No, not at all, Grandpa. It was good.
Way back into the distant past, when Pete was like 15, he joined a mail-in movie club, 11 days for pennies. And now cut to 2025, the movie club caught on to Pete's life, and now they want to punish him, so they trapped him in a room with a bunch of movie tapes. Pete didn't want to pay for the movies he got in the 90s. He'll have to watch random horror tapes and tell us about gore and probably some rape. Now keep in mind, Pete didn't pick. They use random numbers and a long list. He's got to get through every movie, one each day for the time we can't foresee. Helpful snowman roll call. Anxiety. Grouchiness, entropy, snow. If you're wondering why he did this song and other FAQ facts, just shut up and listen to this show, or fuck it, take a nice nap. It's Helpful Snowman Podoween 2025.
Greetings, everyone. Today we've got a movie called Lady of the Lake. This is the movie I'm going to ask people to watch when they hound me about not liking Ari Aster movies. You know, when I'm like, yeah, I didn't really dig Hereditary, and when I was like, yeah, Midsummer, I kind of actively hated. I'm going to be like, if you want to understand why, watch this movie, Lady of the Lake. It's a movie where the main events happened a year before the movie starts. And basically there's some legend about like a Native American woman who is forbidden from seeing her lover or something. And now she'll come out of the lake and snatch hunky boys every year or something like that. And our main character, Lady's brother, was snatched a year before. And so what we get throughout this movie is a very slow motion version of the parents, friends, and community sort of coming to grips with this thing that happened. Which towards the beginning, it sort of seemed like we were getting like a Jaws kind of thing, like classic situation. You have like, I don't know, he's a sheriff or like the fire chief or something who's like, everybody's got to stay out of the water because he's also the dad of the kid who got snatched. But, you know, of course, all the kids are like, I want to go in the water. So it seems like we've got that set up, right? Where it's like, well, everybody wants to go in the water. And the one person is like, don't go in the water. And everyone's like, you're being irrational. And then some people are dead and they're like, ooh, we should have listened to that guy probably. Or more realistically, they would say, why didn't you tell us to not go in the water in a different way that would make us listen to you? This is your fault that we went in the water. But it really doesn't go that way. Like the closest we get is, a bunch of friends, like a bunch of teens have a party where they're drinking on the beach for like 5 seconds before the guy comes and breaks up the party and everyone goes home. So, I mean, all the scenes in this movie are just like kids stealing booze from a liquor store for a 5-minute lake party, or like a girl looking pensive. And then a mom who I guess hasn't gotten out of bed for the last year because her son got snatched away. And maybe another scene of a girl looking pensive. And then a scene of a love triangle or maybe quadrangle or something I couldn't really figure out partially because I didn't care. Partially because like 2 or 3 of the teens had a similar emo girl look going on. And I wasn't totally sure if there was like 3 of them and which ones were doing what. You know, this is grandpa watching a movie, I guess. Or it's a movie with too many characters who are too underdeveloped. Who knows? I mean, it's hard to talk about a movie where almost nothing happens. And when I say that, I mean it on a very deep level with this movie. There's like one sequence where there's a guy in a rowboat with a girl and he gets dragged into the water and, presumably is dead. And there's like maybe a couple, I think there's like two dream-based jump scares. And that's it. That's all there is. There's like, you don't really see a monster. You see a flashback of a party a bunch of times. You see a flashback to, I guess, how the legend came to be, which is basically a Native American woman and the guy she likes. And they're having some kind of argument with what I assume is her dad. And he's like, nah, I don't think you should date this boy. And then maybe he kills himself or something. And then anyway, that's how Ghosts is made. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to drag too hard on indie films, but like, I just don't know what compelled the filmmaker here. Like, what were they trying to achieve? Sometimes you see a movie and you can kind of appreciate what the filmmaker was shooting for, right? And like, you could speculate on where it went wrong. Like, you know, earlier where I talked about some of the short films that like younger, I'm going to call them kids made, I understand what they thought it would look like, probably, and like how and why it fell short. And, you know, I was like, I mean, these are kids learning in public that making a movie is harder than it seems. And like, you have to have more of a story. The story's not going to just sort of develop on its own, right? But with this, I don't know, like, I know this is a full-on adult making this movie. And like, I don't really know if it... Was it a coming of age movie? Was it like a monster movie? It was like those two things crashed into each other. And then what emerged from the wreckage was like the most inconsequential bits of both types of stories. You know what I mean? The worst things are the only things that came out unscathed somehow. It'd be like if I survived a wreck and my hideous face was intact completely. I'd be like, oh, great. The thing I was most concerned about looking the same for the rest of my life. Lovely. I mean, I got to be honest, like I couldn't find anything nice to say. So what I wanted to do was have someone else do that for me. So I did find this filmmaker has made what kind of looks like a Hallmark Christmas movie called Four Cousins and a Christmas. And it's Four Cousins ampersand a Christmas, which is very awkward looking for some reason. And I did find there's one 10 out of 10 review. And I will read it to you. It's titled Truth. And it has 11 thumbs down. Most of us can identify with at least one character in this story. Mine was the youngest cousin. I went through the same thing 53 years ago, and it's disheartening that things have not changed much since then. My heart broke for her. My heart also broke for her sister, who had a loss I can identify with. So, yeah, why do I love this movie that breaks my heart so? Because just as the last line of the film states, you guys ready for the big line? I love my family. Okay. Really stick the landing, I guess, on that one. As the ending of this movie says, I love my family. All right. Here's the one positive one for Lady of the Lake. I find it fascinating that this is an 8 out of 10 as opposed to a 10 out of 10. This is something I'm going to say to anyone who's listening to this, okay? If you're reviewing this podcast, or like if you're going to review a book that I wrote, 5 stars. Don't fuck around. Just make it 5 stars. And I say that because, like, who cares? Nobody cares what your, star rating is. No one's going to come back at you and be like, you thought that was 5 stars? I can hardly believe it. And if they do, then just explain like, it's a guy that I feel like I know and I like him, so I'm just giving him 5 stars. They're, 3 of them are pity stars. I am fine with pity stars. I am fine with you telling people they're pity stars. I don't mind. Okay? But especially like when it's your like relative or a good friend. If I read a good friend's book, they get 5 stars. That's it. That's the whole process for reading a friend's book and reviewing it. Is you're like, look, say something or not, you give it 5 stars because it doesn't fucking matter, because no friendship is worth tainting over an honest review of their book. It doesn't matter. So anyway, this is an 8 out of 10, which completely violates that rule and I found upsetting. But they did do the thing, which I feel like is they tried to find something positive in here. It's titled, Love the Scenery. I personally love the scenery of where the town and the lake itself are filmed. It brings back feelings of nostalgia for small town life, and I really love that. I also can tell the younger actors have a good deal of passion for their work. I'm a huge fan of Seth Gilliam. He and Julie Dove are my favorite actors in this film. My only critique is I wish the movie had been a little more frightening or even more thrilling, but that's just a personal preference. Other than that, I thought it very interesting, especially if you enjoy stories of local legends and folklore. Also, the camera work was excellent. I mean, this is a little bit of a masterclass in how to review something that you fucking hated, but, you know, to say something nice about it, because it's like, I like the scenery. And also, you can tell the actors have a good deal of passion for their work, which is like, that's not a negative thing, but it's not like a strong positive either. I'm a huge fan of one of the actors. That's great. And then you transition into he and this other actor are my favorite actors in this film. And you're like, okay, I noticed that you didn't say that you think the second actor is good. You just said, of the people in this film, this actor is my second favorite. So yeah, this was, boy, calling this a horror film is a stretch maybe, but I feel like that's probably where the filmmaker would put it. I'm going to rate this film based on how close of a relative I would need to be in order to write a review for this on IMDb under my real username. Like, how close a relationship would I need to have? I think I'd have to be the husband of someone in the movie. I would have to have, at one time, had intercourse. I'd probably be needing to still be having intercourse on a semi-regular basis with someone in the movie in order to give it like a 10-star review. I mean, it'd have to be that close. You know, I think if I was like a more distant person, like where if I didn't have to basically deal with how this person felt about things, I would probably just pretend I didn't even know what IMDb was. IMDb? What is that?
It's helpful, Snowman, Podoween 2025.